if you have a business that you walk into or a place that you go that you might love, and because they always treat you right, you feel special when you walk in, just fucking copy that.
Mhm.
Like, you should just copy exactly what they do to make you feel that way. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My experience and expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and 9 figures. And I'm not telling you guys what you should do. I'm just telling you how I did it, how it worked, and I hope it helps you too. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. And if you'd love to connect with me, guys, Dr. Alex Spinoso on Instagram, dralexspinoso.com on our website. You have Miss Amanda May with me, as always, at amandamaybeauty.com or Amanda May Beauty Boss on Instagram. And guys, today we're going to talk about having that Ritz-Carlton higher level of thinking mindset. And you look at you dressed in black perfectly going into our Ritz-Carlton mindset talk.
I actually did this one on purpose.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you thought about that?
Yeah, I did.
Why? Tell me about this. Tell me
Yeah,
why.
I felt like lace, long sleeves, like classy, elegant dress was very fitting for what it feels like to be at the Ritz-Carlton.
I
It's
like
like
it.
next level experience. You feel like old money vibes. So
Yeah.
it's like that class. Yes. I
Well,
got my pearl earrings in.
right?
Mhm.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Classy lady with
did
the
it
pearl
on
earrings.
purpose.
So Puerto Ricans actually think that pearls bring tears. It's an old superstition. So we can receive pearls as a gift from somebody who isn't uh, Puerto Rican or part of our culture, but we can't actually give pearls. I was never allowed to buy
Mm.
pearls for anybody growing up, and my mom was always like, "Don't buy pearls for me. Don't buy pearls for your wife or your girlfriends, etc." So it never was allowed to buy pearls because pearls bring tears in the Puerto Rican culture.
Why
That's
is
just a
that?
superstition. I honestly don't know. I don't. It's one of those things where you just don't fucking question it.
Mm,
I should probably question it and go back and find the actual history of
mhm.
why pearls bring tears.
I wonder if it has something to do with how
Now it's
they harvest them.
now it's gonna bother me. What do you mean how you harvest them?
Well,
You
I
go
mean,
and
you have to kill the clam.
I
I think so. I think they do usually die. I I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's ethical ways to pry it open and get it out.
I don't think do you have to kill it?
I do think they usually die.
No way. Well, now we gotta check. Now we gotta check.
Let's check.
So I think
I
it
love
it
it.
all it comes from the bride wearing you don't wear pearls on your wedding day. So it's kind of the same thing
Mm.
where the ominous version of this myth holds that pearls represent future tears. Thus, wearing them will bring many tears and heartache to the marriage. So it's the same with like Puerto Ricans, they believe the same thing. Wearing them represents tears. So if you buy them from somebody else, you're like, I will bring you tears. Which I should have probably
Oh.
bought pearls for my wife. Now that I think about it, how'd I go back? Well, I should have bought a shitload of tears or pearls. Whoops. Freudian slip there.
Well, going back to the Ritz-Carlton mindset, and what we're gonna talk about today is a few things that you've picked up from the Ritz-Carlton mindset and that you are, applying that to Genesis, and, the influence that you've, had from studying this company and the patterns and the way that they operate as a corporate entity, I thought would be a really cool conversation and gives our listeners some inspiration how they can
Yeah,
get that wow factor for their own businesses.
absolutely. And guys, let's do it. This podcast is brought to you today by Excellence Wins by Horst Schulze, the creator of Ritz Carlton. No, I'm kidding. Horst and his team didn't give me any money to promote this. But this is a great book. Excellence Wins. Horst Schulze is the creator of the Ritz Carlton and the system in general. And this is actually a phenomenal book. I have it dog eared like a crazy motherfucker. So it's a phenomenal book for essentially what we're going to talk about today, that Ritz Carlton mindset, and going through it, how he did it, how he built it, why he built it, and the history behind the Ritz Carlton, which is a phenomenal story. Highly recommend it. And let's absolutely get into it.
I love it. So there's a lot of exceptional companies doing really, really incredible service. What is it about the Ritz Carlton when you read that book that made you go, this is something that we want to implement in Genesis?
I think there were multiple aspects to it. Number one, he came essentially from nothing, this tiny little village. And all of a sudden, as a kid, as a teenager, he wanted to work in the hospitality industry and run hotels. Which, again, like, what kid wants to run hotels? And he laughs about it in the book. That's really fucking weird. Like, you want to run hotels and you want to be in the hospitality industry? That sounds terrible. And not a lot of people realize, well, look around at the businesses that are built right now. Somebody, some point, was like, this would be a good business to go into. And they just did it. They just built
Mm,
that business. And the second part of why it was so great, not only was he not a born entrepreneur, he learned everything. He learned how to do these things. He threw himself into and worked with the best that he possibly could find, whether that was hotels or maitre d's or traveling all over the world and the country, leaving his home to do it. But he decided right at the beginning what he wanted to create, what he wanted to build, and he just went for it. No matter what people said, he went for it. He was unreasonable a lot of times in what his demands were, expectations were. He was, according to his staff, always had a higher level of expectation than what they felt they could deliver, et cetera. And as a result of that, he changed the way the hospitality industry was done. What was five-star opulence, what was five-star service. He listened to the clients as much as possible. But then at the same time, he also protected his staff very vehemently in that the client was not always right. He has stories of kicking out clients, but not just kicking them out, moving them to a different hotel. Hey, we booked you at a five-star across the street. We'll pay for it. Go ahead and get your
mm,
things and move across the street. So he was protective of his staff, protective of his time, protective of his culture, and he took really his, I think, 25 core values that were part of it and bred them into the company. And the Ritz Carlton nowadays lives and breathes it every day. They have a small muster, which is a meeting at the beginning of the day, choosing one of their core values, talking about it, giving an example, showing how they're going to show up that day with that core value and moving forward. And those were great things that when we were starting to truly build the culture of Genesis, and I decided, hey, we're going to run this EOS model, we're going to push this model, and we're going to move forward with this model being our guide, that was a big part of the core values part of it. We have 7 core values essentially because there's 7 days in the week, so 1 core value for each day of the week, and you can go through them as you wish. And we tell the staff, "Hey, you should have little musters at the beginning of the day. Talk about a core value, talk about what's on your list for today, what are the things that need to be done. If there's any problems or concerns, make sure they're solved right there or brought up the chain of command, and that's gonna help you grow and move forward." So there was a lot of things in the book
mm.
that we took from and we continue to take from and we're continuing to implement because there's a lot to implement, and you don't build a giant company like Ritz-Carlton just by implementing one or two things. Everything is meticulous down to the way the doorman greets people walking into the door, the way he holds the door, the way he holds himself, his outfit.
Mm.
Everything is meticulously designed, and there's a lot of things that in Genesis there isn't. So we're working towards those things and using this Ritz-Carlton mindset. We do hashtag Ritz Carlton mindset in our company when we message each other and talk to each other about things like that to improve our systems.
Yeah, so one of the things, like, that they're known for is customer service, the excellence of customer service. I mean, I think anybody who's ever been to a Ritz-Carlton can say it is the top tier experience. So
Mm.
how are you seeing that implemented in Genesis?
Well, there was there's a phrase that Horst talks about in his book in that there's no customer service hotline for Ritz Carlton. because customer service is the responsibility of every single person in the business. And customer service is one of our core values in Genesis. Before I had read this book long ago, customer service was, in fact, our number one core value. When we went to rewrite our core values as well, the staff, the executives chose, really customer service. There was the most votes for customer service, which is kind of intuitive. Obviously, if you're
Mhm.
creating a business that's cash based, that is a service based business, customer service should be at the very fucking top. And your customers want only three things. They want a service that's quick and without any defects. They want a service that is fairly priced. And then they want somebody to be nice to them and kind to them. And if you fulfill those three things every single time, then hey, they'll be happy 100% of the time.
Mm.
And Ritz the Ritz-Carlton takes that even a step further in that they allow any employee to spend up to $2,000, no questions asked, to ensure that their clients are taken care of. And so in the book, he actually talks about how a world renowned speaker had left his laptop in the room of his hotel and he had flown to LA from where he was at Chicago or something like that. And he had a presentation on that laptop that he needed to give the next day.
Mm.
And the employee, the cleaning lady, found it. And instead of mailing it overnight because she wasn't sure it would get there, she got on a plane, flew it to him, handed it to him, and flew back. And, he wrote all about it, talked all about it, amazing press about it, etc. And obviously that employee was not it was not yelled at for like, you could have just mailed it. What the fuck's your problem? She was applauded and rewarded for going the extra mile and actually hand delivering it to that client. And there's tons and tons and tons of stories about Ritz Carlton of the employees doing things like that.
Mm.
And it's good because they embrace that culture and they really elevate that culture. And it's something that I've been trying to do more at Genesis because just like he says in the book, when he introduced that to the executives and to the investors, they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you insane? Like, the amount of money that we'll lose is just it's fucking astronomical." And we haven't gotten to the size or the depth of income where we can actually essentially give $2,000 or have employees give $2,000. I don't think we have the training enough. And that's again all on our detriment. Like we need to get better at those things. But we do have a $500, spending limit to where you can spend $500 to make a client happy, or, we can refund people's money and things like that when it comes to our service because we want everybody to be as happy as they possibly can be.
Mm.
So it's gotten to the point where that's what we're trying to do. I don't think it's been embraced as much from the employees because they might be still be worried about spending the money or losing that money, et cetera. And I think it's on us as leaders to try and push that culture a little bit more. But again, customer service is our job. Like if we have a client that's upset, we can try and do everything within our reason to make them happy, but there are limits to it. And even Horst knew that there was limits to the amount that he could possibly do for a client, to the point where if it was pushed beyond that limit, he would just say, "Hey, we're not the business for you anymore. Here's another five-star company, go over to them." And
Mm.
I've told our staff to do that for clients that are ridiculously unhappy or we can't provide the specific service or the specific treatment. Hey, call the other place up down the street and tell them this place does that service. This place specializes in that. We'll book you an appointment. We'll pay for your appointment over there if they have a booking fee, because we've done that before, $25, $199. Hey, we can't help you, but we'll pay for your appointment over there. And as a result of that, you gain the good favor and the good graces of that person telling everybody about what you did for them. And yeah, it may
Mhm.
cost uh 199 for their consulting fee or $25 for their consulting fee, or it might cost you that sale refunding them, but they left with two things. They left with you owing them nothing anymore. So you're again on even ground. And if you went beyond owing them nothing, then they owe you something. They always remember that in the back of their head. Hey, I owe them one. They may
Mhm.
never follow through on it, but if they tell one or two people about you and those one or two people end up coming to see us, then hey, that's great because those other people, they'll spend the money that will cover the 199 that we gave to them or that we paid for their consultation or whatever they'll follow up in. And I think it's important because you've also done the same thing. I've seen with your clients even before you became part of like the C-suite executives in Genesis and the CEO. You were doing the same thing with essentially your Amanda May Beauty clients, where you would just, I mean, you would be seeing these patients for hours at a time for
Mhm.
like $300.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, eh, and one of the things that I would do is if, let's say, somebody booked multiple services and they're gonna be with me for half of the day or through lunch or something like that, I would always order coffees in or, like, when they got to their appointment, "Can I order Starbucks for you?" Or whatever they preferred, or if there was, like, a little cafe nearby, "Hey, we're gonna be going over the lunch period. Would you like me to order you something to snack on?" So it's just that little bit of extra touch that they're like, "That would be really great." And I mean, some of these appointments, the 6, 7, 8 hours, like, I had a lady fly in from England to have me work on her, and it was like a 7-hour appointment.
Wow.
So, it was thousands and thousands of dollars that she was paying to be there that day, plus all of her travel. So the least I could do was provide her lunch,
Right.
and she was
McDonald's,
so
anything you can order.
anything, all the dollar menu. I don't even know if they have that anymore, but so grateful. And I would do that with my students too. We'd have, hours and hours of training at a time. And I would always order something in just because it's like, I don't want them having to think about, oh, I'm getting hungry. Should I take a break? It just makes it easier for them and for me, but it also creates that little bit of extra value. And then too, if there were things that I could do because my clients were coming into Genesis, if there were things that I could do about getting them their appointment. So, I mean, a lot of my clients came over and still today are clients of Genesis
Mhm.
because, they wanted their blood panels or something. And so it was like if they were getting all of these services, it's like, hey, let's hook them up with a blood panel. And a lot of them ended up on, pellets or hormone replacement therapy and ended up becoming clients of Genesis for years and years. So
Right.
a blood panel is worth it, but it's like they're grateful for that 25, 50, $100 gift.
Absolutely. Now, gifting is a huge part of, I think, customer service in general and just giving in general. And, there is the process of jab, 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 right hook, which is an old book written by Gary Vaynerchuk. And he talks about this where, educate, educate, educate. And then the right hook is ask for the sale or ask for the referral. So the more that you educate, the more that you help them, the more that they, um, see that you are trying to improve their lives just for free, the more apt that they're going to want to buy something for you or feel like they owe you so that they purchase something later on. And it's not like you're not trying to manipulate it. You're only giving them and having them buy things that they need truly, but at the same
Mhm.
time, you're showing them all the things that's possible. You're showing them all the things that you can possibly do for them so that they want to buy those things. They want to be a part of it. And that's a big part of you know making sure that they're respected, their time is respected, their money is respected, and then moving on to another aspect of that is really making it a point now, and in our teams we're doing this more and more to mirror Genesis, to watch our language when we are speaking directly with our clients.
I love that you're bringing that up because the first thing that we touched on has like a money aspect to it. But there are things that Ritz-Carlton does that doesn't cost them anything that makes that experience so much more valuable. And this is one of them. It's how are you spoken to?
Absolutely. And they have a bunch of rules based off of how they are to speak to their clients. It is always, they're always spoken to, uh, ma'am, sir. So old school, military, respect for elders type situation, no matter who it is. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. They talk to them with by their names. So we make sure in Genesis, we always make sure that we are speaking to our clients using them on a first name basis. Hey, Carl. Hey, Frank. Hey, Suzanne. Nice to see you. How are you doing today? Using words like hello, full words, hello, how are you? Not yeah, uh-huh, okay. Those words we're trying not to use as much as we possibly can. We change the word from patient to client, and that's one we're still working through, and I think going to be not difficult, but it's going to take a while to change because the reason why specifically we changed this, and I got this from a good friend of mine who was actually in Arate Syndicate as well long ago, and he's still in it. He's a physician out of Colorado, a dentist doctor out of Colorado, and he says, you know, patients are sick people. They're people who come and by definition, they get diagnosed with a disease
Mm,
and they need some sort of pill or cure to fix them. And in our world, when you go through the hospital system or when you go through the healthcare system in general, patients are people who drag down the healthcare system, people who may not want to get better. Your stereotypical patient is your super overweight, diabetic, high blood pressure dude who comes in eating a cheeseburger with stains on his shirt. And you say, hey, you should try and exercise 30 minutes walking 3 times a week. And he's like, no, I don't have time for that. Like the person who just doesn't wanna get better, the person who
mhm,
doesn't wanna get healthy. And on the opposite end, a client is somebody who is taken care of by another professional. So that profession could be a legal profession, it could be some other type of profession, but it also could be the medical profession, which is what we're in. So we take care of clients. These people have extra money that they want to come and spend with us to improve their lives, both inside and out, whether that's aesthetics, whether that's sexual health, whether that's hormone therapy, or whether that's weight loss. They are spending their extra money to work with us. And as a result of that, we should respect that fact and know that they could go to one of the other 100,000 plus clinics that are cash based across the United States doing med spa, quote unquote, type shit. They could go to any of them, but they chose to go to us. And as a result of that, we should be honored and we should honor them with that by calling them clients, by saying hello, by saying yes or no in full sentences, not
mhm,
nah or uh-huh or of course. It's my pleasure. That's why now, when you go to a drive-through with Chick-fil-A, everybody knows, except for on Sundays, that you can go to Chick-fil-A and the people there are going to say, "It's my pleasure." They're going to be very open. They're going to create conversation with you, be interested in you. And there's a great coffee shop, Dutch Brothers Coffee, that also acts the same way. And it's the reason was is those companies were actually trained by Ritz-Carlton. They
mm,
went through Ritz-Carlton training. And there's a story actually in the book, again, going back to it, where Horst is talking to the executives of Chick-fil-A and asking them, "Well, what's gonna be your phrase when they say thank you or when they respond to something?" Our phrase is, "It's our pleasure." That's what Ritz-Carlton does. That's what their employees do. And there was this woman in the back that said, "I like it's our pleasure." And he's like, "Yeah, I get it, but like, what do you guys want to do?" And the woman in the back spoke up again. "I like it's our pleasure." And she was the CEO. So essentially, that's why they adopted "It's Our Pleasure." It was just like, that's a done deal. That's what we do. If we're going to act like Ritz Carlton and we're going to learn from Ritz Carlton, we're just going to essentially do what Ritz Carlton does. And that was part of their training. And obviously, they have a whole bunch more training behind that when it
mm,
comes to conversational pieces and things like that. But if you have a business that you walk into or a place that you go that you might love, and because they always treat you right and they always know your name, it's like Cheers, you know where everybody knows your name, some bullshit like that, where you feel like you're welcomed and they treat you really well and you feel special when you walk in. Just fucking copy that.
Mhm.
Like, you should just copy exactly what they do to make you feel that way. Whether that's how they greet you, how they, bring you into a room or a treatment, or if you're at the barber, how they sit you in the chair, whatever they're doing, whether they give you a drink or a coffee or a tea or a soda, or offer you a menu of services that you can choose your music or your scent for the day, all those different things heighten your experience when you go to a business. And if you create that in your medical business, in whatever business that you're in, it doesn't fucking matter what business you're in. If you just try and create those types of experiences as a consumer, as a client, I'm definitely going to come back. I'm definitely going to tell people about you. I'm definitely going to say, hey, I went to this, you know, medical office and they had this amazing scent and the walls were beautiful and white, and they had all their reviews on the walls, and they asked if I wanted tea or coffee or water, and it ran on time, and then they educated me about the product, and man, I felt like I was special. They had a plan specifically for me that they delivered for me. I mean, that is all those little things add up to a customer
Mhm.
service and a system that separates you completely from everyone else, down to the lighting. I mean, you put in your Amanda May Beauty suite. I noticed when I went back to our Henderson clinic and I had them change everything in your suite, only in your room where you had your Amanda May Beauty stuff, the light bulbs were different. So there's different warmths of light bulbs. There's like 3500, which is like this a yellow light, and then this is like 4000 K, which is between like a yellowish and a white. It's called like daylight, and then
Mhm.
there's like true blue white light, which is like 4300 K. That like blue, that's so white it's blue. And in your room, you had between like 4,000 to 4,500 those light bulbs, and it made the room white. It
Mhm.
made the light white. It made the blacks darker. It made everything look higher, elevated. You painted the counters and the cabinets black instead of the brownish color that we have in the other rooms, and it elevated the look. It wasn't a yellowish light that was being thrown. And I told them, have them change all the fucking light bulbs in here to that color immediately. And it brightened up the entire office, made all the whites look white instead of yellowish,
Mhm.
all the blacks darker black, and it created that higher level of excellence. Down to the lighting is what you guys need to be thinking of when you're delivering a service. And at the beginning, look, the yellow light worked and that's all we could fucking afford. But once you grow and you have the money flow and you want to increase your level, of opulence or excellence or showy, I guess, showmanship to your clients, that's what you have to do. Those little things make a huge difference, and they're not expensive. Light bulbs will be a few $100s for the entire office to change them all, but it will elevate the office to make it look
Mhm.
completely different.
Yeah, it reminds me of, in if it down the hotel chain, aspect. I recently stayed at Fountain Blue in Las Vegas, and, I visited the spa. I love spas and the spa experience, and partially because I love to see what our new spa is doing, and anytime a spa opens up on the Strip, they're trying to beat out how great the last spa was, so it's really awesome to go to the newest spas because 'cause they're gonna have the best stuff. And I had a facial while I was there, and, there were just a few things that really stuck out to me. It was the fact that when I walked in, it smelled like essential oils. So they were hitting that sense, that the smell. And then it was, bringing me tea. So it was like, now taste. So now I've got 2. The music was, like, soft and beautiful and, calming. So it was like, now my sound. And it's like touching those 5 senses makes a big difference. And I noticed too, like when they walked me back, the girl like touched my hand. So now there was like a physical touch. So it's like there are small things and obviously like in a professional way touched me, but
Yeah.
she wasn't like,
Should I
"Hey,
grab your
how you doing?"
boobs? Welcome.
But just those small things make a really big difference, and
Mhm.
and those are all things that you can do in your medical clinics, and we have one of our clinics here in Texas. Well, two of them, I think, because the same woman is at both.
Yeah.
She's got the diffusers.
Mhm.
So like as soon as you walk in, it's not an artificial fake fragrant smell. It is an essential oil that smells very pure. It smells like you're walking into a spa.
Right.
And it's like it hits you and you go, "Whoa, like this is nice." And it's just something small, but it makes a really big difference in the customer experience from the moment they open the door. And I think those are really interesting things to explore. How can you implement even just the smallest little touches? But when they're accumulated together, it's going to make for an even better experience overall, start to finish. And that was one of the things so I had a facial, and the woman that did my facial, I, told her that I had recently had a baby, and this was like so nice for me to get to just like breathe and not have to think about anything and, get pampered a little bit. And when we finished, she said to me, "I don't have anyone after you. Would you like me to give you a hand and arm massage?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely. I do want you to do that." Didn't charge me any extra for that, but just knew that this was a moment where I was getting to take for myself after, you know, giving life to this planet, and all that goes into being a new mom. And I was just like, that 15 minutes, I mean, the whole experience was fantastic, but that last 15 minutes where I just it was a little more, it was a little bit extra. It was that level of professionalism, that love, that touch. It was like, this was the best spa experience I've ever had. That's how I left feeling.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
talking about it now on your podcast,
Yes.
way later
Yeah.
because you had that experience. Again, that's the giving of 15 minutes of their time and their expertise that they could have charged you an extra 50 bucks for, 100 bucks
Mhm.
for, but it wasn't worth it to them because now they have you singing their praises and talking about you, talking about them, and other people are going to be like, "Damn, I'm staying at the Fountain Blue, or I'm going to definitely go get a massage," and because she's talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I noticed too, just to touch on that again, and I believe because I've stayed at a Ritz-Carlton once, and I believe they gave me a rose and a glass of champagne.
Mhm.
And so it's like fresh flowers even in your business,
Right.
I mean, one of the interesting things about Texas is when you get your nails done, they actually serve you alcohol. Not me, because I don't drink, but
Mhm.
I do notice they serve people alcohol. So I don't know about serving alcohol in a medical establishment,
Yeah.
but
Gotta have a
offering
license for that.
something. You can offer something like sparkling water, and it's like something like Perrier, something a little
Yeah.
fancier, but it makes the whole experience. And it's, again, it's just the thoughtfulness. It's not like it has to take a ton of time or energy. It's just that little bit of thoughtfulness and pre-planning, and it makes everything different.
No, I think it's a huge part of that, and it's what are the little things like you said? What are the little things that you can deliver that don't cost money? What are the things that are the attention to detail? And one of the things I taught my Vegas clinics when I went back last month, just to review, see how everything's doing, is I taught everybody, and I talked about it again in our corporate meeting, is that walk into your location, walk into your business, walk into your clinic as if you were a client. And if you're a client, judging everything. And one of the biggest things is look up. Like nobody really in the medical field, very few people look up at the ceiling when you're a staff member. But as a client, you're probably looking up and down and like this is a new place for you. You've never been there before, so you're gonna judge everything. So look up, look down. Is the floor clean? Do you need to get it professionally clean because it's worn down? Are the walls, scuffed up because you have certain types of chairs that scuff up the walls that maybe we should get just rid of those chairs and replace it with chairs that are softer that won't scuff up the walls? Or has it been 2 years and the entire clinic needs a refreshing repaint? I mean, because that's usually about when you need to redo a clinic is every 2 years you need to redo the clinic. Now that doesn't mean rip up the floors, new flooring, new walls, and new doors. It just means paint, fresh paint, like repaint the entire thing. Do the doors need to be repainted because there's scuffs? And Is there little things sitting around on top of desks or that are make it easier for us, but look like a mess. For example, in our California clinic, they showed me a video of the clinic, and in one of the treatment rooms, the provider had all of their, syringes with the sharps container, with the centrifuge, with all these boxes for their stuff on the counter. And it was easy because the provider could, I get it, grab things really quickly and do things really quickly, et cetera. But it looked like a fucking mess. Not, it was organized, but it still looked
Mhm.
messy. It looked cluttered. And that's one of the things Ritz Carlton does very well is that when you walk in there, nothing is cluttered. Everything is very simple. They call it minimalistic. And they've been doing that minimalistic shit forever from the beginning. They make it very simple. You don't want a lot of crazy shit everywhere. You don't want a pile of 16 brochures at the front desk. You don't want all that crap. You want it very neat, very clean. Everything looks well put together and
Mm.
everything has a place, and there is a place for everything. And as a result of that, I said, "Hey, clean that all up. Move that into the cabinet. There's cabinets above and cabinets below that countertop to where when a client walks in and they sit down, they don't see that giant mess. Now the client walks in and it's just a nice black desk. The centrifuge still had to stay there. You can't shove that anywhere, which is fine, but it's just a centrifuge. There's nothing else there. It's super neat, super clean. The provider can easily open the cabinets and it takes maybe 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds longer to open the cabinet and grab all the supplies from the cabinet because we just took the boxes from the countertop and put them in the cabinet in the same exact space. So the speed is still exactly the same. She lost, he lost 2 seconds. And the elevation of the perceived look of the clinic
Mhm.
rose just a little bit. And when you add up all those little things, hey, we've got this old machine sitting in the hallway, or this room that doesn't use this specific table anymore, get it out, throw it away. I told the girls in our Frisco and Dallas offices, we had these office chairs, which are great office chairs, but the handles accidentally hit the countertops. So the leather handles had frayed. So I went in and I took off all the handles for all the seats. So now, like, again, they can't sit like with their elbows on the seats. They have to sit up straight and they can type on their computer.
Probably a good
But
thing.
which is good. But at
Yeah.
the same time, when they the chair to turn, it's not hitting the countertop, so you don't have that weird banging sound. Number two, it's not fraying the chair anymore, so the leather doesn't look frayed or anything like that or damaged anymore. And that's what
Mm.
your clients notice. They're gonna walk in and there's a spring loose on a chair, like, either fix the chair or throw it the fuck away. Because again, for a $40, $50, $150 chair, if somebody's coming in and paying $200 to $2,000 for a service, a $200 chair to make your clinic look higher end, at that point is going to be worth it. And I get it. I've been there at the beginning where you can't fucking afford anything. So go to Wayfair, go to IKEA. They have stuff that looks really nice, but is on a budget based treatment. I'm not talking about going to fucking restoration hardware, which, Ritz Carlton shops at, because that's not where you're at the beginning. When you get to the size of Ritz Carlton, when we get to the size of Ritz Carlton, we can do that. Now we're going back and spending thousands of dollars to repaint clinics and put up different artwork and stuff like that because we can afford it now at this point. And at the next level, we'll want to do things even more. Like I wrote on my in my wish list, I have a wish list for Genesis, which you should have a wish list for your business. I put, diffuser in every clinic with a Genesis scent
Mm.
because I know Ritz Carlton, they hired a scent company, and there's scent companies out there that will come and mix all these different essential oils to give that suite the specific scent. And then when people walk in there, no matter where they are in the world, if they walk into that building, if they walk into a Ritz Carlton anywhere in the world, the scent is exactly the same, no matter where they're at. And as a result of that, people love that scent. They buy the diffusers there with the scent, they buy candles with the scent, and they bring that home. And
Mhm.
there's a huge part uh, on the medical portion of that, medical studies showing that that scent creates a memory. That scent actually recharges, and there'll be times where maybe you go and order a specific type of food or you hear a specific song and it brings you back to a memory. And that's the whole reason why Ritz-Carlton does it and these very high-end companies do it, whether it's a certain taste or giving the champagne with the rose that has a certain smell, the smell of the diffuser in the air, it brings you back to that place, and that's the only place where you can get that scent. So
Mm.
you wanna relive that. When you have it in your house, you relive that, and essentially, you should their goal is to make you feel calm or make you feel like you're at a five-star resort no matter what, even in your own home. So that would be one of the things that I would want for Genesis is to create a Genesis scent. So where no matter where you are, you walk into a Genesis and it has that scent, that
Mm.
feel to it.
Yes, 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 I love
Yeah,
that. That's
it's
so good.
awesome.
And we're talking a lot about the experience and the attention to detail, and I think we should have a conversation around the attire and the emphasis on presentation of our actual team members and how important that aspect is when it comes to creating an elevated professionalism within the organization.
Yes, when it comes to dress, look, at the beginning, we were I don't wanna say lax because we wanted to obviously create a family type business, and we still have a family type business, but it's becoming more professional and more specific on our dress. At the beginning, we had, essentially we wanted our staff to wear the same type of scrubs, the same color scrubs. However, that was up to the clinic what type of scrubs they wanted as long as it was a solid color. So you could have anybody wearing solid colors. One person could wear a blue solid color, one person a black solid color, one staff member a maroon solid color. As long as they were solid colors, we would get the Genesis logo on there. That would be good. In the same breath, we didn't talk about, people having tattoos. We've got multiple people with tattoos, which is fine. We didn't talk about the way hair had to be. We didn't talk about piercings or anything like that, which is fine. And it was good. It was good at the beginning. It was, this is who we are. This is who our staff is. We've got all different types of people on the left, on the right, believe this, believe that. It's okay. It's a medical clinic. It does not affect our level of service and our level of care. And as now we've grown, now we're at the point where, we should standardize things because, again, if you give a mouse a cookie, they will want a glass of milk. So people have been kind of pushing the envelope when it comes to what's appropriate, what's
Mm.
not appropriate, dress, attire, not doing their hair when they come to work. And there was always that expectation. You should be doing your hair. You should be looking presentable. We're in the aesthetics company. So you don't have to cake on makeup and look like a geisha, but you should at least be put together in your face. Use a foundation if you need to. Things like that, where you should be looking very neat and very high end and classy because that's what we want to portray. Our clients want to look like us. That's what you have to remember. So at this point in our size and the way that we want to emulate the Ritz Carlton is that we decided to elevate the way that we were going to present ourselves as a company. And the Ritz Carlton mindset, again, that hashtag, a big part of that is the dress now, making sure that our front desk and our sales staff are dressed really, really high end. Now, that doesn't mean they're wearing label designer $1,000 t-shirts and $2,000 shoes, but it means that you're very well put together. You look professional. You look like what you're wearing now. You have a very classy black lace outfit. Your boobs aren't hanging out. You're not wearing geisha type makeup. You don't have blue hair and a samurai bun that looks like you just got up out of nowhere. You're wearing very simple jewelry on your ears, and you may have tattoos, and we don't care if you don't cover them up, but they are very, I would say, not enhanced, but I think it actually detracts if you wear one of those like arm sleeves that basketball players use. Everybody has some beautiful artwork and stuff like that. And I'm not against tattoos. My whole bag is tattooed. But again, the only way you would need to cover it up is if it says like, you know, we love Nazis with a big swastika and like, fuck Jesus and like a devil on your arm. Shit like that. We'd be like, I'm not sure you're even right for this job.
Yeah.
But again, people have fucked up histories and if they want to work for us and it makes sense, okay, cool. Like we'll just have to cover that one up, sort of thing. But at the same time, there's a way to be professional in being individual at the same time, having
Mhm.
your individuality and saying that's beautiful, while at the same time being very professional. So again, our front desk staff, now we dress up very nice. Our sales staff, make sure you look the part. The back end, all wearing the same color scrubs, solid scrubs, whether that's all black or all blue, something that they can choose either color. We'll get it embroidered with the Genesis logo. We'll buy scrubs for them if they need to, but make sure you guys all look the same, dress the
Mhm.
same. And as a result of that, it creates a very unique look, a very put together look for all of our staff members, to where they walk in and they say, okay, everybody here is really professional. They all look the same. They're all on the ball. I mean, girls that have, their septum pierced, we either have them just flip it up or take it out just for work. Those are different things, little things that it's like, okay, let's just elevate it a little bit more to
Mhm.
where this is where Ritz-Carlton would be. This is how they would act and this is how they would treat clients. And as a result of that, as a staff member, you get paid really well to do so. You get paid really good bonuses. We don't expect you to go out and buy those scrubs. We'll go buy those scrubs for you and we'll make sure that you are fit into how we want to look and how we want to feel, and that attention to detail when it comes to our staff and elevating it. And there are multiple studies that show, especially with black, because we like, and I presented this at our corporate event, that two different things. Number one, when it comes to wearing black, black is perceived as more opulent. You're perceived as being more fit and thinner. Obviously, we're a weight loss and hormone therapy clinic. We want people to look fit and thin. So we make sure that, hey, black scrubs is probably going to be the best. Black outfits, the best, as much as you possibly can. The second part of the dress is there was a study done in a retail center where they took all of these clients and the same salesman or same saleswoman, and they dressed them up in street clothes, sent all the clients through, and then they dressed the same person up, put makeup on them, made them look different, and dressed that same person in nice professional designer clothes and sent the same crowd through. Now, every single person got to interact with this person, both when they looked just like off the street wearing jeans and a t-shirt or wearing like some sort of cheap uniform in the retail store, versus when they were all dressed up to the nines, looking amazing, having designer clothes on. Same person, same knowledge, same answers, and as a result, 70% of the people thought that the person who was dressed better had a higher level of expertise and a higher level of knowledge of the
Mm.
product. Same fucking person, exactly the same person. But because they were dressed nicer, they were perceived as being more professional and actually knowing more. So they say, like, do your clothes make you smarter? In the eyes of the client, 100%, well, 70% of the time. Yes. 70% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. That's well, and it's, a statement I've heard is always be the best dressed in the room. And so
That's
I
good.
think about that because if I'm, let's say, teaching students, I'm not gonna dress like my students are gonna dress. There's no separation between us then. Where's the authority
Mm,
come in? And so it's like in this situation where we've got people coming into the clinic, if our clients and our staff are dressed the exact same way, where's the separation? The professionalism is what you're saying. Like, so be the best dressed in the room. And when you're in scrubs, but doing it in a classy way where it's all one color, or it's logoed and, like maybe it's black. It's just naturally is going to look more put together and elevated than somebody that's just coming in for an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. When I work in the clinics or when I have to be in the clinics at all, like checking it out or anything, I'm always wearing my scrubs, my fitted scrubs. Make sure I wear they're clean, they're neat, and everything like that. We have Genesis T-shirts and stuff. I don't wear those when I'm seeing patients or walking through the offices or anything like that at all. I will say when I teach students though, or when I'm training or when I speak on stages, I'll just wear like a Spinoso shirt and jeans and some $5,000 shoes because essentially it's like I have bigger businesses than you. I don't have to fucking dress like you at all. You guys can be douches.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's part of my rebellion side. But that's a great phrase. Dress what is
Be
always
the
be the
best
best
dressed
dressed in
in
the
the
room.
room.
That's a huge phrase and a huge lesson to learn with your clients. Your
Mhm.
clients want to go to somebody who is a very well dressed and actually a good colleague of ours, Dr. Crozier, Gordon
Mhm.
Crozier out of Florida, who's joined the Genesis brand. I mean, he is always in a bow tie. His signature is a bow tie, and he's always fitted, dressed to the nines. He looks phenomenal, and everybody knows who he is when he walks into a room. And he's a world renowned speaker on stages all over the country and the world
Yeah.
in the medical field for anti-aging and hormone therapy and peptides, etc. And everybody knows who he is because he is like that, always the best dressed in the room. And his wife Michelle is wonderful as that. And she's like, he didn't want to wear bow ties, and I was like, no, you're absolutely fucking wearing bow ties. And it has turned into something much bigger than himself in that he is the bow tie doc. He's the doctor that everybody knows when he walks in. That guy knows what he's talking about. Nobody can confuse him with anybody else. And that's who, they want to emulate and be like because of his just energy when he walks in and how he looks and how he presents himself.
Mhm.
Ritz Carlton level.
Definitely. They're a great example of that. And in a culture now where people are super relaxed, like CEOs do wear, Nike kicks or whatever,
Right.
customized Nike shoes. I didn't know they can cost $5,000. So that's a good insight for me. But, how do you feel like that plays into other people feeling in the business like, I don't need to look a certain way to be professional or know what I'm talking about?
I think it depends on where you're at. So if I'm speaking on stage, I'm more relaxed. I am speaking about being in the trenches and living in a crack house and what it took for me to get from where I was to where I am today. And I tell them I don't see patients anymore. I don't see clients anymore. I'm not walking into my offices anymore. And when I do, my staff sees that I'm wearing, again, my scrubs no matter what. I'm not dressed up like I am on stage or like I would be in an interview
Mhm.
like I am in the clinic. So it's specific, Horst Schulze, who created the Ritz Carlton, wearing a suit and tie at Ritz Carlton trainings or when he goes to Ritz Carlton. You don't have photos of Horst at home at his pool, and he's wearing the same board shorts and a t-shirt at his pool as he would at a Ritz Carlton meeting or board meeting or anything like that. And it's the same with Genesis. When Brent and I are going to meet other high level business owners, Brent does it more than me. I'm still trying to wear like either an all black shirt that's a lot neater, that fits me better, maybe nicer jeans. And I'm changing my shoes out from Nikes to like Cole Haans that are a little bit
Mhm.
more dressy. If I have to get in front of a legal team or talk to an investor or somebody like that, I have the one suit that I own, the blue suit that I have had since God 7 or 8 years ago. Uh, you know, I think it's actually like 10 years old. I got married in it. I wear it to all like my meetings and stuff. I could still fit in that bitch. That's just my pride. If that suit doesn't fit or fits tight, I know it's time to lose weight 100% because that is tailored perfectly to my body when I had the lowest body
Mm.
fat percentage and the highest amount of muscle. So it's like that is a reminder. If I get in that and it's like, oh, this tight, it's like, you fat piece of shit. It's time to get your ass in the gym and eat right. But I wear that one suit to those things. Make sure I'm dressed up for those interviews. I'm dressed up for those events. I'm dressed up for those meetings specifically, and it's I think there are some aspects of, well, everybody always says, well, you should always be on point. No, I think that takes away a humanity part of it. Like, I don't expect you to dress up when you're at home or when you're out, or, that isn't a part of coming to work. When you walk into these doors, when you walk into these clinics and you're serving other people, at Ritz-Carlton's, ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So you're not servants. You are acting like a lady or a gentleman serving another lady or a gentleman. So you're doing everything you can, from how you look to how you speak, to live and embody that. And it's the same
Mhm.
thing that now we tell our staff, that's the goal. That's what we want to impart, and that's how we want to feel with that. So I don't think it's counterproductive at all, because they see how I dress when I am in their position. So when I go into their role and I sit in the clinic and I see clients and I'm trying to check out the flow of the clinic or whatever, I'm dressed in my scrubs, I'm dressed neat, my hair's done, everything looks, my beard is trimmed as much as it can or combed as much as it can. So I look as presentable as possible. I'm not disheveled. I'm not walking in like I have my shirt untucked that I would wear on stage with my jeans and my Nikes. I'm wearing my sneakers so I can move around and see clients faster. I'm wearing my fitted scrubs and I look neat and put together. If they came to my world, they could wear what they want. But I'm the creator and the co-founder and the COO, and I'm the one speaking on stage. I have to speak to other people that need to connect to where I am and where I was. And that's just, you have
Yeah.
to play different positions. You have to play different parts as a leader and as a CEO. I mean, look at Elon Musk. Is the guy always in a suit? No, he's in a suit when he does certain interviews, when he goes to certain places. Sometimes on interviews, you see him in his, NASA t-shirts or his old Guns N' Roses t-shirts with shorts, and if he's walking around SpaceX, or if he's lived, he's the guy lives in X half the time. So if he's day 3 living inside X, I mean, he looks a little bit disheveled, but that's part of being the CEO, the creator, the guy who's there more than anything. I think your actions will speak louder than how you dress when it comes to being a leadership role.
Mhm.
But if you're walking into the clinic, if I was walking in the clinic wearing a t-shirt and pants and sneakers, it would not look professional if I was seeing clients or doing things. And I don't do that in front of them with the staff. When I'm in their positions, I dress like them and how I expect them to dress.
Yeah.
I think you do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. There's times where, well, during my pregnancy, I definitely wore, as my belly got bigger, my Genesis t-shirts. It looked pretty cute though. It was pretty fitted, nice and tight, right
Right.
around the belly.
Right. Right around the belly. Right around
But
the
yes,
belly.
yes, doing the same. It's knowing your audience and being able to connect, and the way that you are when you're on stage and you're speaking and your dances and crawling around on the floor. It might be kind of odd to do that in a
Right.
suit actually. So I
Exactly.
feel like it's very fitting
Exactly. It doesn't
to
fit
have
the
you.
character. You have to be a character when you're doing certain things like that. So,
Yeah. As we finish up the conversation, and people, I'm sure, have gotten so much good insight about little things they can do to create that wow experience for their customers. Let's talk about some of the other things that Genesis is doing to create that, and eh, down to the details of like corporate signage and the decisions behind some of the signs or the corporate images that we've chosen, and how to really create one cohesive look across all the locations.
so what we've decided to do is really elevate and keep our look consistent. So we're starting to really push the fact that you absolutely hit it on the nail on the head, where it says corporate signage. All the clinics have the same or extremely similar corporate signage. The same in terms of the size and the way they're printed and the way they're laid out, but similar in that each clinic might have a couple different services on each of those signs. But all of that is becoming very similar or exactly the same across all the locations. The same thing with our signage. Our signage now, the Genesis logo, the G, the Genesis words, all of those are ordered from one location. So we know that we're going to get the same thing every single time, no matter where we order. They order from this location, the signage is always going to be the same. The business cards, same location, ordered from the same place, all of it is going to be exactly the same, the look and feel. We now have the color codes of the whites in the clinics and the blacks in the clinics that we have. So those color codes are exactly the same across every single location now. Hey, this is the specific bare black color paint that you need to order for your accent walls. This is a specific white that you need to order for your accent walls. And we understand some clinics have different countertop colors or different flooring colors, just depending on what we go into, because we go into a lot of second gen space. But we try and negotiate for the TI, the tenant improvement, to at least get the flooring that same grayish color, and the countertops maybe a black or a more simple color, or if they have to paint it black, again, we've got a color and type of sheen for the countertops and cabinets that need to be repainted black in the system. And so everything is starting to be the same look, the same feel. It's essentially upping our game to where when people walk in, they get the same experience everywhere, even down to we're talking about the light bulbs. Hey, all the lighting needs to be changed to this brighter bulb. Now, our newer builds and our newer locations usually have those bulbs. But again, the other older locations, hey, we're upgrading our bulbs, we're making our look much better. When it comes to the signage, the science behind the signage is that a lot of our signage has really fit ripped males on it. And the reason was that our, female staff members were like, "Oh, that's I'm going to put him up. That's my husband now." And that was the exact reason why we did that, is because there's been really good retail studies that show when your signage has really fit males on it, that females react favorably to it, because they are looking, again, we're mammals, we're looking for mates, we're looking for the fittest mates, again, mammals. And so that is attractive to a female. They want their husband or spouse to look like that. And on the opposite side, men, they see that and they want to look like that. So it's very different when you have a female in lingerie who looks sexy in a picture. Females are like, "Meh, that bitch." And males are gonna be like, "Nah, that's kind of hot, but I mean, it doesn't make me want to buy it. It just reminds me that my spouse or my wife doesn't look that hot." So there's very good studies that
Mm.
show that, our male imagery, that's why we're putting that type of imagery up, because it's, again, based off data and the clients reacting favorably to it versus the opposite version where your clients aren't reacting favorably. So I think a lot of aesthetics companies get that wrong, in that they always put a ton of beautiful women and stuff. And women always say, "Well, that's unattainable. I'm never going to look like that," sort of thing. And that's where they miss their mark. But again, we are, weight loss, hormone therapy, men's and women's sexual health before aesthetics. So it helps us out in our marketing and making sure we're getting down to those nitty gritty things. The diffusers is the next thing, the scents, the coffee or the tea offers. So everything from the signage, the look, to the smell, to the feel, and then obviously delivering, again, a top quality service, making sure that our company was and is legit script certified, which is the, highest level of certification that a company can have in order to be able to provide certain medications. We make sure all of our medications are, third party tested. We are buying from the best pharmacies. We're vetting our pharmacies, and they're vetted by this third party company as well as us. So none of the bigger companies have those things that really set us apart and really are the wow experience that allows us to up our game. And now we're getting into the things like wearing the same type of clothing, wearing the uniforms in the back, making sure the front end staff are dressed very, very well, look well put together, and we're greeting each other and speaking a different language. So we're going through a huge transformation, a huge change, as we are expanding exponentially at the same time.
Yeah. Key takeaway from this conversation really, for me, as this is my final thought on this, is you are great at taking what other companies are doing very well and you learn about them in books, but you implement. And I think the implementation is where the key in the success of this is like found because you can read all the books you want, but if you don't take the initiative to actually implement what you're learning in your business, be it business strategy or things like creating the wow factor like the Ritz-Carlton, it's not going to get you anywhere. You have to take the time to implement, just like the EOS model, which has taken almost 2 years now since the rollout of it. And it's like you have to actually slow down long enough to care about the details, care about what it means in the long run, and actually take action to implement each of these things that you're learning in whatever capacity it fits within your actual business structure. But you're able to learn these things and then implement. And I think you do that so, so well.
And that's definitely been a huge part of my success and our success is that I have so many colleagues that are success zombies. They'll go from mastermind to mastermind, listen to podcast. They'll read 50 books a year and they're still in the same fucking place 5 years later. I have all of my books that I've ever read. I have right there on those three bookshelves. I haven't read half of them because the first half that I read, I'm still trying to implement everything that I learned inside of those. When I listened to the first 300 episodes of the MFCEO Project podcast and went through Arate Syndicate, I took all my notes, and that's still shit I'm implementing in our business every single day. When I read this book, Excellence Matters, the next month, I already told Brent while I was reading the book, hey, this next month we have our corporate event. I'm going to really push customer service and I'm going to change the way we do customer service and how we look. Do I have you on board and your blessing with that? And he's like, I think we should. Because we had already kind of been talking about it. And it's like, okay, cool. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to implement those things and push the envelope and change and develop into something new. You need to, innovation is part of our core values. We're always innovating how we can be better, how we can improve. And you need to 100%, you're right, implement it.
Mm.
If you listen to this podcast and you're not writing notes and implementing things that we're talking about, then stop fucking listening because it's going to be useless to you. 100%. It's not going to help you at all to just listen to me pontificate and listen to Amanda just randomly talk about all these different things that we're talking about. If you're not going to go out there and actually make a change, you are wasting an hour of your time if you're doing that. So listen to it, write the notes, implement it, and go kill it.